Now let's turn to the war in West Asia. You know that Israel has been at war for over a year now. It started with Gaza, Israel versus Hamas. Then last month the battlefield expanded. Israel is now inside Lebanon. They have boots on the ground in southern Lebanon. They keep bombing the capital Beirut, and Hezbollah keeps firing missiles on Israeli cities. But that is not all. As we track this conflict, we often overlook the third active frontier, the one to the south, where Yemen's Houthi rebel group is waging a wider war on global shipping. The Houthis have been attacking ships sailing through the Red Sea. They began their attacks just days after the October 7th attack on Israel. The group claims that this is in support of the Palestinians in Gaza. So they too are fighting against Israel. And now a new report has come out which claims that the Houthis are getting help from Russia. The report says that Russia gave the Houthis satellite data, which was used to attack ships. Apparently, this information came from 3 sources, but the report does not name them. And this isn't the first time something like this has come up. Last month, there was a different report which said that Russia is keen to sell anti-ship missiles to the Houthis and that Iran was facilitating this deal. Again, this information allegedly came from unnamed sources. So that's a lot of accusations involving all major Western rivals. Before we go any further, let's take a closer look at the Houthi situation. The Houthi rebel group controls vast swathes of Yemen. It is ruling the country de facto. Even though it doesn't have international recognition, the Houthis are backed by Iran. They're part of Iran's so-called axis of resistance. The Houthis have been actively fighting Israel, but through indirect means. Barring the random drone or missile attack, the Houthis don't focus on the Israeli mainland. Instead, they target global shipping. They say that they only target ships with ties to Israel, either Israeli-owned vessels or ships that are transporting goods to Israel. But that has not always been the case. Other vessels have also been caught in the crossfire. Over the last year, the Houthis have attacked more than 100 ships. They've managed to sink 2 of them and hijack 1. This may not be the greatest win ratio, but the Houthis have been extremely successful in their primary goal, wrecking international trade. That's what they've done. Look at these numbers. In October last year, the global global freight rate for one container was about $1,300. But then the Houthis began their attacks. By January, freight rates rose to about $4,000 per container. By July, they hit $5,900. That's where they reached. That's a four-time jump, 4 times higher than last October. Ships have been avoiding the Red Sea for a year now. In August, traffic was 77% lower than it was last October. Ships are now taking longer routes to avoid Houthi attacks, and that drives up costs. These added costs eventually trickle down to ordinary people and make the cost of living crisis worse. So Western nations are furious about this. The US even formed a coalition to tackle the Houthi threat. Along with the UK, they've been bombing Houthi installations. Last week, they even unleashed the B-2 stealth bombers on the Houthis. So even though you don't hear about the Houthis often, they're still a major threat. Now back to the latest report. It says that Russia is aiding the Houthis with satellite data. It's very convenient for the Western narrative. All of their rivals just happen to be working together to the detriment of the whole world. But why would Russia risk its own trade? The report goes directly against what Russian President Vladimir Putin said yesterday.
We are very concerned about what is happening in the region, and no matter what anyone says, Russia is not interested in the conflict getting worse. Strategically, we will not gain anything from this. We will only see additional problems.
So as usual, it's the West's word against Putin's. Who you believe is up to you. But one thing is certain, the Red Sea situation continues to affect all of us.
Firstpost decodes the U.S. election. Explains how America chooses its president. Your primer on the race to the White House. Everything you need to know about how America votes and its global implications. U.S. Election Explained. Every Monday and Thursday only on Firstpost.